If you see the fired up nature we have, it's because we love a lot of people we've never even met.
Yep.
And we know what a sober life can offer them, and in turn, what they'll offer the world.
Yep.
So I hope people hear that out of this conversation.
Right.
Don't Hide the Scars, a weekly podcast focused on addiction and recovery. Created by the nonprofit PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, and founded by Flindt Andersen.
Welcoming to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast. Welcoming back, I should say, Brock Bevell. Thank you for joining founder of Parents and Addicts in Need, Flindt Andersen, and myself, Jason LaChance, on Don't Hide the Scars.
Brock, good to have you back, brother. Good to see you, man.
Man, I have been waiting for this.
I'm
serious.
We can stir some shit, can't we?
Oh, man, I'm ready, dude. Let's go.
Well, I love being anticipated. It makes me feel good about myself. Jesus, where do we start? I mean, God, Flindt. I mean,
Brock, you know, I follow your stuff. You're neck deep in it in Arizona, which again, thank you for doing all of that. Look, man, I don't know where we start anymore. You know, both of our states, the rest of the country is so screwed up with this thing. And we were kind of talking about, you know, how do we even get the lawmakers and the people that are in power here to understand what addiction is, to understand the fentanyl problem, to understand just everything about it, from legal to addiction. Because if we can't get these people to understand it, man, I'm afraid nothing's going to change.
Well, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
Right? I think we're seeing that. I don't know if you saw there was a lobbyist that a few months ago in California, he came out and said, hey, you know, we need to learn more about addiction. We don't need to do much about it right now. And now he's asking for like $38 billion to start fighting it because of the overdose crisis is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you guys, I am even shocked at the evolution and at the rate that the fentanyl is moving, at least within Arizona. And not only that, but how quick it takes a soul. Because, I mean, Flindt, you guys have been watching these videos. I mean, I videoed somebody a month later and unrecognizable.
Right.
Absolutely unrecognizable. And it's like, holy shit, dude, we got a problem.
Are you seeing, or I'm sure you already know about the fact that they are adding benzos into the fentanyl now?
You know, we're hearing it, but the problem is they're not testing for it.
Correct.
And so when our individuals are dying, the medical examiner's like, okay, it was a fentanyl overdose. And they're not even testing anymore for it because they're just like, dude, I mean, the tests are expensive. I mean, right. I hate to say that, but and the problem is, what the hell's in it now? You know, you're getting the carfentanil, you're getting the xylazine, you're getting the benzones, and it's like, dude, at what point do we stop it?
Exactly, because what these people again aren't understanding about benzos in particular, from a treatment side, if somebody comes in with fentanyl and benzos are in that, now we have two separate drugs that we've got to try to detox, because both detoxes are different. All right, there's different medications that are used for each. And of course, you know, benzos, we know you can die from a fentanyl overdose, but you can die from withdrawal symptoms of benzos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is now, and of course, benzodiazepine is longer lasting. It has that longer life to it. So that's why these people are, it's, for the most part, fentanyl is not going to put you in that zombie stage. It's the combination of both that are putting people in that zombie stage.
But what we're seeing here is the zombie stage is coming from the xylazine.
Yes.
Because it is a tranquilizer. It acts as that they're calling it the zombie drug or whatever. Right. That's what we're seeing. And I mean, I'm sure there's benzos. I'm sure, but we're seeing fentanyl in everything.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
And so you're seeing these guys that have been meth users for years and years, right? Yeah. And they're not even, they can't, like they used to say, I could stay up for 3 days. I could stay up for 4 days. Now it's like got a half-life.
I mean, it's so again, a lot of this goes back to how do we get these assholes to understand this first of all? And Brock, I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, we're going to keep fighting. You're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep doing what we do. We're going to keep making the noise. But damn it, I mean, it's we're trying to push back the ocean with a broom here, and it simply doesn't work, and it's not working. And of course, you know, most people now. The conversation yesterday was around, okay, do we, once these people come in for treatment, if they come in, do we just keep them on Suboxone? Do we just keep them on methadone? You know, I mean, I'm sorry, but no, most of the people that are for that and are talking about that, they come from the standpoint maybe of they've lost a child or they know money, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, you still have the pharmaceutical side with all of that going on. But a lot of people that are pushing this long-term harm reduction stuff by leaving them on Suboxone and methadone, that's because they've lost somebody and they don't want somebody else to lose a family member. So let's just kind of keep them in a little locked box here. All right, as long as they're not dead.
Yeah, let's keep them high. That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're keeping them high. And you know what, Flindt, this harm reduction thing, I don't know if I'm a fan or not, right? We can debate this all day, but I'm telling you what, I want to keep an addict alive as long as possibly can, because as long as there's alive, there's a fighting chance.
Yep.
Now, I understand that. Well, here's what's interesting is I hate the fact that politics are running the monies.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I don't know if you've watched my videos, but I have gotten different fentanyl test strips from the government.
Right.
Okay. Have you ever taken them out and tried to use them in real life situation?
No.
So the fentanyl test strips we have, you open it up and there's a dipstick with 0 directions.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty educated guy, bro. I sat there with the guy and tried to figure it out. Both of us. He's in addiction. I'm 13 years removed from addiction, but in clinical every day.
Right.
Could not figure out how to use the test strip. Why is the government spending millions and millions of dollars on these test strips if you cannot use them?
Nah.
So let me ask you this: what?
I'm not surprised.
Right, I'm not surprised either. Okay, but what were you testing powder or were you testing a pill?
I was testing at that first time. I was testing marijuana. What happened was, let me give you the premise. I'm walking through the park and this guy's sitting at a bench and he is absolutely 100% nodding off.
Right.
He is in a heroin induced, whatever you want. He's on the nod. Right? Sitting there. He's nodding out. So I walk up and talk to him. Great guy. He's like, hey man, I think there's fentanyl in my weed. I need to test it. I'm like, he's like, can you help me? I was like, yeah, I got these test strips right here. We could not figure it out. No. So I went back to the office and got the new stuff. All right. And now I should go find it and show you guys. I mean, it is complicated as hell to figure this thing out. And the problem is the new stuff comes in a box, and in the inside of the box, it has directions. But you don't give this out to the people that are going to use it. And then it's like, you have to open it. You have to swab it. You have to close it, open another tip up. And it's like, listen, we all understand addiction. If I am craving, if I'm to the point where I need to use, the last thing I'm going to do is take out this freaking test kit and test it. Now, here's the funny part. Every single person that has allowed me to test their dope is like, Brock, I buy fentanyl.
Right.
Yeah.
I want fentanyl.
Right.
So I'm excited we're testing to make sure, because I really want to know if there's fentanyl in it.
Sure.
But they're like, I know there's fentanyl because that's how I buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's so counterintuitive that we're spending these millions and millions of dollars on this all over the nation. And here's what happens is now we have the lawsuits are coming out against big pharma. So there's mega money coming into cities in the government. So they're like, well, we got to put our money somewhere. Well, why don't we stick it into treatment?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Flindt, here's a question I have. Have you ever gone out and done harm reduction, or have you ever spoke to people about harm reduction?
I have. And I don't agree with it.
Have you ever seen literature that says, here's support for recovery?
Nope.
No. Why? Why are we not pushing recovery?
Right.
Why are we pushing, hey, I want to make you feel better. I want to help you in your space. But why do we not? At least one piece of literature says, hey, here's a rehab for you.
Right.
This place can take you in. Here is step one. It's none of that. It's this bullshit. I'm going to make you comfortable, test your dope. And it's a fraud process.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised, top-quality care with programs for detox, inpatient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living, support groups, and more. With 50-plus years of combined experience and sobriety, Flindt, Andersen, and Thelma Gatlin Wilson provide adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect, and a safe, comfortable environment. To begin the process of recovery, to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction, call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
I was to say, it's one of the things that I get pissed off about frequently, because it's just like, we talk that along with the harm reduction, the decrim part of it. Okay, I get it. All right, we're not going to look at us, the addict as a moral failure anymore. Great. But you think it's okay to leave them on the fucking streets to die? That's okay?
Yeah.
And because that's what you're doing.
That's what they're doing.
That's what you're doing. It's just as heartless. It's just as heartless, if not even worse. Because you see it, you go out and see it. Flindt, we drive by it every day here where we see it. There was a guy in the middle of the 3-lane this morning before you got here when I'm sitting there.
Did he have a blue shirt on?
Yes.
I saw him in our parking lot. Yep.
Yeah. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
You can't tell me that, whoever's cousin is producing all these test strip kits that's working in Congress or Senate or whatever it is. It's because the money's going somewhere.
It's going.
Yeah. You can't tell me that it wouldn't work to work with private treatment centers or even the public stuff and do a little bit better with their budget. Shit, have someone there 24 hours a day to answer a phone and be a part of intake. Let's start there.
Well, here's that's interesting. I'm so glad you talked about that. I can tell you guys are fired up about this too. Check it out. Yep. So in Mesa, they just bought a big ass hotel. Okay. In Arizona, they buy these big hotels, and of course it's all government money, all taxpayers' money. So we're paying for it no matter what you say. Okay. So they're opening these, and then they're putting all these individuals inside, offering them no treatment.
Right.
But they're housing them. So guess what now they're turning into?
Shooting galleries.
Yeah.
Crack houses.
Right.
I mean, I interviewed a lady yesterday. I was like, hey, have you talked about going to the Windermere, which is a local place, which is what it's called? And they're like, I'm trying to get out of addiction. Yeah. I'm trying to flee from that. I can go there today and buy dope right now. And of course they have the police officers. He's stationed out front.
Yeah.
Right. And off-duty officers there. I don't know what it's for, but it's also, I mean, it's just like, why, where's our money going? Like, I want to follow the money.
Right. That's just it. I mean, I've been saying it for years. And instead of putting money, into opening up legal shooting galleries, all right, and safe injection sites, why aren't we putting that money into treatment? Jason mentioned the fact that county-run programs don't answer their phones. They don't. We've done it. We've called them. We've called them all over the country.
2.5 hours. We were on a phone.
On a phone. And if you call the national hotline for recovery, it goes through another 45 minutes of fucking prompts. Okay. And then at the end, it asks you, it says, what county in the United States do you live in? Said Fresno County. Now it takes you to the Fresno County behavioral website, right, with their phone and their 17 different prompts. So the county run programs aren't answering their phones. By the way, we went through every single voicemail on that call, and not one comment was made about inpatient, detox, or residential. Not one. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to get across to these people. People have to be medically detoxed off of this. You cannot throw them in a room, okay, with and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm a realist. You can't throw them in the room with the Bible, okay, and pray your way out of this mess, okay?
No, you can't.
It simply doesn't happen that way. So I want to go back to the fentanyl test strips for a minute, because somebody made this point to me the other day, which I thought was fantastic. So you got an M30 pill, all right? And you're trying to test that M30 pill. And we know that kids will quarter that pill, right? So what if they just test the one little quarter that doesn't have any, I mean, that doesn't have it in it?
The chocolate chip cookie effect, right?
Correct.
Right? If you don't test where the fentanyl's at.
Right. That's exactly right. Now you have people like dancesafe.org. Have you ever heard of these people?
No.
I want you to write that down, and I want you to do a little investigating into dancesafe.org. This is a corporation that puts on raves and music festivals, and they are promoting fentanyl test strips given out and Narcan given out to their kids when they come in to dance. So in case they're doing drugs, which Dance Safe knows they are, we're basically saying, we're not going to be responsible because we're giving you a fentanyl test strip.
We're not liable. And Narcan.
Right. It's bullshit. Now, one other final thing on this. Think about the message we're sending when a parent tells their 15-year-old, hey, I know you're going to do some drug on Saturday night, and if you're doing cocaine, we don't really like you doing it, but if you do, here's a fentanyl test strip because we don't want you to die. Now, that's angel on one shoulder, devil on the other situation, right? You don't want anybody dying, obviously. But damn it, what kind of message are we sending?
Well, and then if you take
okay.
off of what Brock was saying, if the kit is so freaking complicated, when I was 15, if I was using it, I would have just went, it's fine. It's fine. And back to the hotel thing, if we're talking follow the money, I want to know who owned that property that was bought by the state, because it's happened in California too. Who's owning these properties that they have deemed this is appropriate to buy it, and this is where we're going to send people that are homeless?
Well, I got a couple things. I totally agree with that. Here's some frustrations I have is, so if someone overdoses on fentanyl, okay, if there's xylazine in it, the Narcan doesn't even work.
Right.
So we're sending our kids into use, giving them this Narcan, hoping. Do you know how many of these kits now police officers are having to use to help overcome an overdose?
No, probably. I would imagine 4 or 5.
Yeah. On the way to the hospital, they're hitting them 4 or 5 times with the Narcan.
Right.
Because it's so powerful, right?
Right.
That the Narcan's not even working. So they're having to pound them with 4, 5, 6. I mean, a guy that I know had 8 hits with the Narcan before he came alive.
Wow. And he got lucky, because normally they usually don't snap out of that one.
And who carries 8 canisters of Narcan? You know what I mean? No officers.
Well, right. Well, here's another message that we are sending. Cladaxo. I'm sure you've heard of Cladaxo. Okay. I believe that's a 12 milligram naloxone. So are we just telling the American public, just keep using because we're going to make stronger Narcan? I mean,
yes.
the whole message that we're sending is just bullshit. Okay. I just seriously, I look at this and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with everybody here? Jason obviously knows this. I was in Sacramento a few weeks ago. And our administrative assistant here, Pam Smith, she lost her son 7 years ago to a fentanyl overdose. And she was giving her story again up there. And this one assemblywoman looked at her and by the way, this assemblywoman is now turning this into a race issue, so to speak. She said, "Oh, Miss Smith," she goes, "we grieve with you, but would it really do any good to put this person in prison?" there was a young lady next to me who's tapping me on the knee going, calm down, because I was about ready to jump up and, have I was off to Guantanamo. Because this lady's like, I want to, are you kidding me? You might as well punch Pam in the nose, it's, and then another assembly person said, I just can't, honest to God, Brock, I just can't believe that every drug dealer is lacing every pill with fentanyl. Were they born with stupid tattooed on their forehead? They must have been.
Well, man, that's a good point. So check this out. They have no advisors.
Right.
How many, think about that. Think about how many people, who's leading them? Like who is on their team, right?
Couldn't tell you.
No, and these people that are making the decisions do not have one of us on there. Have you ever been called to help make a decision? Why don't you contact guys like us who are in the middle of it every day?
What have we talked about? That exact same thing. Again, I go back to saying they're not asking the right people.
Nope.
They're not even asking the right questions.
You know why, right?
I would imagine it's the money.
It's the money, and we're not going to agree with all their decisions. And they don't want that. They want yes men. Oh, yeah, we want the money. We want the money for this. Oh, yeah, it's going to help this community serve. Dude, come on. And we're seeing it because there is no policy out there, that at least that I can think of, at least in Arizona, that is benefiting the addict to get them out of active addiction. There's not one policy out there helping them.
No, none.
I think they just wanted as turnkey as possible to go, see, look, I was a politician that got test strips in your community and all this other.
But there's people in the recovery business. Let's call it that. That I think some of them know it, some of them don't. They're not helping the situation. What I mean by that is, again, there are, until we can all, none of us are ever going to come to a total agreement on everything here. But when we've got people promoting long-term and forever Suboxone use and methadone use and continue the test strips and the clean needle exchange. Look, I don't want anybody to get Hep C. I don't want anybody to get HIV. But come on, as ex-addicts here, Jesus, would we have cared if we had a clean needle or not? For the most part, no. So when you get that clean needle, it's like, hallelujah. All right. They're not worried about getting Hep C. Hell, they're not even worried about getting HIV. You said it earlier. When we're in our addiction, the only thing we give two shits about is getting high so we don't get dope sick, period.
But what did that needle cost?
To them?
No, think about it though. Like, how much are they charging for those needles? Like when we get all this stuff,
gotcha.
You should see. And I'm blessed, man. We have an awesome organization that provides us Narcan. We buy 100 kits at a time. You should see the bill. You should see the bill that someone's fitting.
Yeah,
and it's ridiculous how much that shit cost.
Yeah, someone's
paying for it.
Somebody's paying for it.
Someone's paying for it. They're allowed. I mean, we get the bill. I have all the bills over here, and I'm like, holy! Our organization couldn't pay for it.
Right. Same here. We get whatever it is. I mean, we'll have 500 cases sitting in there, whatever it is at any given time. We wouldn't be able to pay for it if we didn't have that arrangement with those folks.
And if you're the private citizen and your son's struggling with addiction and you go down to CVS pharmacy and you go buy $50, $60.
Yeah.
Dude, up to 90, 100. I've seen it create. And it's like, wait a minute. This is a life-saving drug. I can walk into the store right now and get needles for free.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm an IV drug user, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to give me free needles.
Yep.
But why can't I get Narcan to save my kid's life? Right. Why is it a price? Why is there a cost? And I'm not saying we should have free. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, dude, that's not even reasonable.
One thing free, why not the other?
Right.
Why not the other? If you're going to help them get high, why not help them save the life too?
Let me tell you how crazy it is. So I work closely with the law enforcement in this community. I got a phone call from them saying, hey, can you bring us some Narcan? We can't get any from the station. We can't get Narcan in our station.
Wow.
Unless we use it, we write a report go turn in the empty Narcan, they will not give us a new one. So we can't carry 3. We have the 2 pouches they give us. That's it.
No
So
shit.
you're dealing with, guys, police agencies in Arizona are struggling. Now, I don't know if they think there's going to be a shortage of this shit, but they make them write a report, which is fine, right? But they have to take the empty canister to them to get a new canister.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but I just think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he asked me so I brought him 50 canisters. And he's like, I need to give this to the school. I need to give this to people in the community. Why are we see, this is what I'm saying. The harm reduction shit doesn't make sense. At least it's not getting in the right people's hands.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551 or check us out online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media at Pain Nonprofit. Please subscribe to the podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. To donate, please click the link in the description and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
And I think the other thing with Narcan too, I don't know what you think about this, but I believe that people think that Narcan is actually a treatment tool, for the lack of a better term. And it's not. Okay?
It's a life-saving tool.
That's it, period.
That's it.
Period. This isn't going to get your kid clean. All right. It's not going to help them in their recovery one bit. Right. But there are people that think that is. And it's like the schools. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Arizona, but we'll have school districts out here saying, and politicians going, yes, we now have it in the schools. And here's my comeback to them. Is it in every classroom? Well, no, it's in the nurses' station.
Locked up.
Exactly. Locked up, right? Where they've got to break the fucking thing open or at least have a key. And what if the nurse isn't there? And what if that kid is on the other side of the campus somewhere a half a mile away? That kid's dead before you can reach there. So don't walk around your communities going, we're wonderful. We've got it in the schools. No, until you get it in every classroom, you're not doing your job.
Yeah. And it's a simple training. I ask the same thing. We're doing trainings in schools. Like, why doesn't hey, how about your coaches when they leave campus? Why you don't think your kid, there's some kids that are using this stuff? They think, it's just crazy. I don't know if you guys saw what happened in Portland 2 weeks ago, where Portland came out and said, we're going to start giving out tinfoil straws. Yes. Dude, it's like, what in the hell are we doing?
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, that's the thought process that we have. Hey, we're going to help the addict. We're going to help the end user. We're going to help them get clean by continuously giving them this stuff.
Well, it's the good part of it. We saw it here. I don't know about you. Are you using fentanyl? Well, why don't you smoke it instead of injecting it or snorting it?
I lost the top of my head on that one. Okay. Yeah.
It's like, okay.
And to them, that was harm reduction.
That's harm reduction.
Right.
Harm reduction is, guys, it's going to suck, but you need to go to detox.
Yeah.
And you need some help.
Yeah.
You need help from professionals, man.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you will die. And that's the problem is, like, I don't know about you guys. We can't even find heroin here anymore. Nobody's slamming heroin.
Right.
I mean, at least the street user that we see on a daily basis, they're not slamming heroin. It's gone.
Yeah, our officers are saying the same thing. Yeah, it's not all the way gone, but they're saying that, maybe in 5 years we're not going to see it anymore, simply because it's just so easy to concoct, fentanyl and everything else that's
it's a synthetic.
Right, it's a synthetic. We can make it as strong as we want. And what about the I don't even know the number, the 15, the 20, the 50 other drugs that have been sitting dormant since the 40s and 50s, like a lot of these drugs were, that they finally got the ingredients and the chemical, makeups of these things and started putting them together. There's plenty of those out there too. Yeah. So it's just going to build and build and build. And again, until we shut down that border, Brock, we're just going to continually see an increase in this stuff coming across.
Hey, have you guys ever been to the border?
No, love to get there.
So check it out. When you guys are ready, let me know. I was in Tijuana this weekend, and I believe it's the biggest border attached to the U.S., even bigger in Texas, okay? 700,000 vehicles cross a day.
Right.
Wow.
700,000.
Come and go. Come and
Okay.
go. Yeah, it's about that.
And so it took us from Tijuana to the border. It took us 2 hours, okay, to get to the border and then through.
Right.
Listen, if you think that there's interdiction, all this shit that we're hearing at the border that we're catching, these guys have to be. I mean, it's luck.
It is luck.
It's luck. Because we came through, we showed our documents and we were through. Nobody checked our car. Nobody looked at us. Their goal is to get those traffic through.
Right.
And if you've been there, it's overwhelming.
Right.
It's huge.
It is.
There's not enough. Yeah, there's not enough manpower.
No, there isn't.
So what we read in the paper, what we're catching, thank God. I mean, that's honestly what it is. Like, we got lucky. God help. I mean, it was some intervention. And so it's crazy.
You know, it's a lot of people will say too, you know, we're never going to win the war on drugs, blah, blah, blah. And to an extent, I agree with that. All right. Somebody's always going to figure out a way how to get something in. All right. But if we just stop a little bit, that's going to save 10 lives or 20 lives or 50 lives or whatever it is. Yeah. Then it's worth it. You know, then it's worth it. But when you have 5,000 DEA agents worldwide, this came from DEA's lips to my ears, 5,000 agents worldwide working on the fentanyl issue. That's it, period. That's worldwide. We're not going to stop anything with that.
No.
And it's the same. And it's the same at the border with Border Patrol. We don't have enough bodies down there to even man those areas.
But we hired 90,000 IRS agents.
Of course we did.
I mean, I don't mean to get political, but what the hell? Like, so is tax evasion more important than the fentanyl epidemic? Yeah. Listen, we lost a huge city last year, 107,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a big city worth of people. Huge. You know, that's a decent sized American city that we just lost.
Well, you know, the way that I heard it put really well is, so a 747 holds about 160 people. So if you do that math, it's about like 10,000 of them. If you put it out there, roughly.
We're losing one jumbo jet a day.
Yeah. So picture that. Like, think about that, people. If we heard on the news 365 days a year, we were losing a jumbo jet every day, people would be up in arms. Oh my God. What's going on with air traffic control? Government, get this in control. But we're not. But that's the reality of it. Picture losing a jumbo jet every day.
But it's not sexy.
It's like that. It's like, right. Speaking of sexy, it's like that article. This is about 3 or 4 years ago with the SEALs. There were 6 dead SEALs on the Santa Cruz beach. They sent out the Third Army, okay, to try to figure out why the hell these SEALs died. Look, I'm a SEAL guy. I like the SEAL as much as the next person. All right. But we don't send that many people out for this. But damn it, if we've got a dead SEAL or a dead animal somewhere, I mean, my God, I mean, the whole world, it goes viral. I just don't understand. Is life that cheap anymore?
Well, tell me something that is killing as many people as fentanyl right now. Name one thing that's killing that many people?
Nothing. Not even cancer at this point.
No, what's our alcohol rate as far as the connection or related death? But of course, we look at that. We consider car accidents and so many other different things. But, you know,
it's not even close. I mean, you add cardiac arrest, you add diabetes, you add these all together. Fentanyl still on top.
Yeah.
And it's focus, right? It's focus, it's energy. Listen, here's my, if you want to rant, we shut the community down. We shut the world down for COVID. Yeah. Shut it down. You couldn't fly. You couldn't come into the U.S. You couldn't get out. You couldn't go to the movies. You couldn't do that, right? For COVID. That's killed less people than the fentanyl epidemic.
Right.
but yet nobody's talking about it. There's mention of it here and there. It's political right now. It helps people get, but there is no stopping it.
No.
And like you said, I mean, guys like us can do this every single day, but we need help, man. Like we need Congress. We need some people to step up and say, this is an issue that we're going to tackle. And I know our president has said that, and then it's like crickets. So,
but Brock, here's the other side to this that nobody's addressing. And that is, look, treatment comes down to two different types. It comes down to the people that have the right insurance and or the cash to pay for private treatment. Or it comes down to the person that has Medi-Cal, government aid insurance of some kind, and doesn't have the cash to pay for private treatment. Now, we are, as a private treatment owner as well, we are hamstrung by the insurance companies. You and I and Jason and everybody else in this knows that it takes longer than a 30-day period to even begin to help somebody. And now insurance companies are reducing the amount of time they're giving us for detox. Sometimes they're giving us 3 to 5 days instead of that 7 to 10 that we really need. We actually need more than that, right? They are cutting the residential time down to sometimes 17 days instead of the 22 days or 28 days.
Yeah.
But they are pushing everybody towards outpatient as quickly as possible. And we all know that in treatment that brain is not ready, all right, to even deal with an outpatient setting yet until it has some time to heal and to be able to understand what that counselor and that therapist is talking to you about. Until we fix that, I believe that's why relapse rates are 93%. I believe that's why we're never really going to get a handle on this thing, and we have to fix the county programs. They're broken. I'm sorry. There's parents that are not going to send their kids to a shithole county program that is dirty, that has, and again, I just got to say it. Sometimes parolees, families aren't going to send their kids there. I mean, we have to come up with some sort of system that's going to handle that. It's socioeconomic a lot of the times, and we have to figure out how to handle both sides, if that makes any sense.
Dude, we're fighting the same battles. We talked about Suboxone early on. Okay. So what do you do? Okay. Insurance wise, let's talk insurance. Let's be honest what the government feels. We got a guy that's struggling with Suboxone. He's like, dude, this stuff is taking over my life.
Yeah.
The doctor, we're not weaning. We're like, the whole reason for Suboxone is to get off the damn stuff. Right. It's temporary.
Right.
Well, we've got doctors now that think you should have Suboxone for life.
Correct.
Yep.
So check this out. We got a guy right now who says, hey, I'm addicted to Suboxone.
Yeah.
It's controlling my life. I'm full-blown addiction. I need rehab from it. We go and we send in his paperwork to get insurance, like to pay for it. They're like, no,
right.
He's on MAP medication. He is using, it is a source of recovery. He hasn't relapsed. And the guy's like, dude, so you're telling me I have to go use my drug of choice to get treatment. So the guy's like, yeah. So now he's got to go and relapse to allow him to come in to treatment.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so counter. Yeah.
We had our buddy Narcan Nate on, and he was talking about that. He go for certain, substances. He go, oh, they're not going to detox you for that. So he would intentionally take them, even if they weren't a drinker. Let's go get you let's go get you drunk because I know I can get you in somewhere. Then they'll also deal with that issue.
Yeah.
And if it, like Flindt says, if it's methadone, who's going to detox you?
We can't even take a methadone client because we can't have it on the property.
No.
It's run, it's run so tightly by DEA and the federal government. We cannot have methadone on our property. And if somebody is even on 20 milligrams, we will not try to detox that person. It's too damn hard. We've got to have them somewhere around the 5 milligram mark on methadone before we can even take them in.
Well, you can't put them in your center. You can't have a class with them because they're nodding off.
Exactly.
Oh, you know what I mean? They're zombie.
Absolutely, they are.
Yeah, we're struggling.
This is a mess. So what we're trying to do here is, again, we work with Assemblyman Patterson. We're trying to come up with some ideas that we're going to be able to address the insurance companies on some of this stuff. Now, whether or not we're ever going to get anywhere, I don't know, but we're going to give it one hell of a shot because again, even insurance companies, they got doctors on the other end of that phone. Okay. These are the assholes that are shortening up the times.
Yep.
Because what, again, it comes back to what we said at the beginning of the show. These people don't understand addiction. They don't understand treatment.
Yeah. And you know what I want to do, Flindt? I want, if there's a policy made, I want that policymaker to come out and work with us. I'm serious. I would love for them to have to spend time on the streets, because I didn't understand what xylazine was doing until I went out into the streets. I didn't know. I heard about it. I talk about it. I act like I'm a professional. Dude, I didn't know until I started seeing these open wounds.
Right.
And these people are like, dude, I am now using more to cure the pain from these wounds that I got going on. And so I just wonder, these people that are making these decisions, they're not on the streets. They're not seeing what's happening, because this evolution of this fentanyl drug, it's changing people. Heroin didn't make people look like zombies.
No,
it didn't. Right. I mean, they would still have the nod and all that, but
Sure.
They wouldn't have that zombie effect.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They also wouldn't have these massive gaping wounds that people on the street are having. And so as this evolves, I don't think our leaders are seeing this.
No.
And until they do, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Look, I think they're seeing some of it, but like everything else, it doesn't affect them
until it does.
Right? It's just like Robert De Niro's grandson, right? Dying from this, and I said that in a post. I mean, it's a shame. Obviously, nobody should die from a fentanyl overdose. But maybe a De Niro, all right, maybe this is a cause that he's going to pick up. I don't know. We've had several politicians over the years. I can't remember the guy's name from Kentucky. I think he had a son that died from it. So this was on his plate. But until it happens to somebody's kid or grandchild, man, I think these people are just going to continue to sit on their ass. We
had a Senator Marsh that's still a sitting senator right now in Arizona. I had her on my podcast. Her child died of a fentanyl overdose. And she's also promoting the test strips and all. And I love it. I mean, if it's in the media and we're talking about, I love all that, but I just wonder if we're guided in the right direction.
Well, exactly. And you said something there. She lost her child. Of course she's going to promote the fentanyl test strips.
Yep.
Of course she is. But they don't understand as addicts what we're going to do with that fentanyl test strip.
Yeah, because the logic, I'm sure, is, well, if my son had only had this.
Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like, no, if your son had only had help for everything underlying that led him to want to use in the first place.
Yeah.
Trauma.
That's what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we better start focusing on that. Otherwise, we're going to lose a generation.
Yeah.
We just are.
But again, it comes down, and I 100% agree with you. But until you can get that addict detox properly, off of everything, then I mean immediately after that happens, now you can start working with somebody on the underlying problem. But if you take somebody that's in active use and you put them directly into an outpatient program without getting them detox first or keeping them on a Suboxone or a methadone, you're never going to get to those underlying issues.
No. Never.
I could tell you when I was on methadone, I would walk in, these assholes, they didn't know who they were dealing with. I would walk into that clinic every morning to get my methadone, right? And I think it was twice a month. I had to sit there and talk to a counselor. So I would walk in, I'd get my dose, I'd walk in her office, I'd set my timer for 50 minutes. I would set it down in front of her. I would lean back in my chair, pull out a magazine and start to read it while she's asking me questions. And I never responded to her. Ever. Try doing that when somebody's asking you questions. Just don't respond. And you're in a little 10 by 10 room. They didn't give two shits. As long as I sat there the 50 minutes, she checked it off that I was there. I said, see you next time. And that was that. These are not treatment centers. They are maintenance centers.
Maintenance, yeah. And really, with the person that you just described, that it's 90 days before you start making an impact.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Because I mean, you're still high. You're still going through the withdrawal. Like in the first 7 days, dude, you're miserable. You don't even want to talk to anybody.
Right.
You're still shitting your pants.
Right.
That's the truth.
That's
of it.
the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. And in about 30 days, I'm starting to be able to even think clear.
Right. You're just getting the taste buds back in your mouth that taste what food is like again.
Yeah. And we're talking about the guys that are running and gunning.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That's what we're dealing with. And it's just, we've got to fix the system.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, just from the brain itself, you know, that's what people need to understand here. Well, three gentlemen like us and so many others are against this long-term harm reduction because you're never going to create new neural pathways.
Ever.
It is proven science that the parts of your brain that you need to start creating new pathways, when you continually take these substances, it's not going to happen. The brain won't freaking do it.
Imagine if there was 10 of us in a room together with some politicians.
Yeah. And just have a round table and just say, guys, start asking us questions.
Yeah. What are you seeing? What's out there? What's happening? How do we help? Those are the questions that we need to ask.
Absolutely.
But it all comes down to money.
Yeah, it does. Well, I'll tell you what, Brock, I mean, if I can, and I don't care if it's in California and you're in Arizona, I'll tell you what, if we can get anything started here, I'd love to bring you in on that conversation because I'm going to bring in some fellas. Okay. I want to bring in you. I want to bring in Adam. I want to bring in Dr. Rob. I want to bring in a few others, you know, because these people have at some point have got to understand that this is bigger than anything they're doing here. And if we don't, you know, and again, we keep talking about this generation. And when I say we've lost a generation, that doesn't mean people have died. That's the combination of death, but there's something always worse than death, and that's living in an addiction. So when we've lost a generation, I'm talking about their minds. I'm talking about their
100.
talent. I'm talking about their abilities. I'm talking about all of those things that make up a human being. That shit's gone.
Yeah. And they're just living on the next high. Boom.
That's it.
Super informative, guys. You guys rock.
Oh, so do you, man.
So do you, brother. Appreciate you. Mr. Andersen?
I'm out of words, I think. We
get too fired up.
We're all too fired up. And look, Brock, you're the best, man. I mean, seriously, it's the fight that you're doing there is wonderful. Anything we can ever do, you know, to help you out, you just let us know. We'll come there. We'll be there. We'll take Arizona upside down.
Yeah, dude. Well, we're about to get there. So stand by. Are you guys near Semi Valley at all?
No, we're probably 3 hours.
3 hours. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're Central California, man. We can get anywhere in the state. Yep.
Good. Yeah. Well, we got some ideas. So thank you guys for just having this conversation.
You bet.
Yeah, absolutely.
You bet.
And the thing I would like to leave people with, if you see the fired up nature we have, it's because we love a lot of people we've never even met.
Yep.
And we know what a sober life can offer them, and in turn, what they'll offer the world. Yep. So I hope people hear that out of this conversation.
That's tight.
Good shit right there, man.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551 or check us out online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media at Pain Nonprofit. Please subscribe to the podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. To donate, please click the link in the description and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.